I gave you a handout, and the handout is from the University of Oregon, and it's from the College of Education of the University of Oregon. And what it states is, I'm not going to look at the entire article, and the reason why I gave it to you is because I kind of want you to look at it and take it home and read it because it's an interesting read. But it states that not only does the majority, or pretty much all of the school districts have a dress code enforced, but some locations have dress code as far as uniform. And 85% of New Orleans school district have uniforms, 85% of Cleveland, 80% of Chicago, 65% of Boston, 60% of Miami, and 50% of Cincinnati school districts have uniforms in place. So, saying that, we know that the school districts are saying that this is important to them because, you know, there's a lot of school districts there that are putting it in place. So tell me, what are your thoughts about the reason why some of these school districts are putting uniforms in place and having a dress code?
Just look out the list of most of these school districts or schools that have violence. They probably have violence in their city.
Okay.
Gang violence. So they have uniform in place so that the students can't identify themselves in the building with any specific gang.
Okay. So gang affiliation, crime-ridden areas, probably low income, are areas that the uniforms are put in place because it's there to help with the safety of the children, the safety of the environment, the safety of the people. Okay. And it kind of gives a story in the reading. It kind of gives a story of, you know, how many schools have had, you know, high crimes in their schools, and how many have had, you know, issues where they had to get the officers, the police, and things of that nature. So one of the things it also mentioned is there's a case study involving uniforms at Long Beach, California, and it appears that in the school suspensions dropped 90% after that. Sex offenders were reduced by 96%, and the incidence of vandalism went down by 69%, just because the students had a uniform versus being able to come in and wear whatever they like. So, what do you think was one of the reasons why a uniform prevents or reduces all these crimes and prevents a lot of the issues that they have in school?
I would think because they have a feeling of maybe family that they're all the same and they're all equal.
Okay.
So they might not be as likely to damage, and again, they can't identify themselves as one group or gang or another.
Okay.
So they're not going to want to tag the school because who cares? You're in your school uniform. You know, you're not really showing out because it's not the same as if you were wearing street clothes going after school tagging the building. And then you're in your uniform tagging the building.
Okay. And we discussed that the uniform really doesn't stop from having individuality. They can still tag, and they can still, you know, have long shirts, and they can still have a bit of a personality with uniform, but it prevents them from, I guess, going all out and having, you know, offensive dress when it becomes uniform.
Yes, but then the tagging is also, or should be, part of the dress code, so that's where it's kind of a fine line, because you're wanting them to dress appropriately, and in my opinion, you're trying to get them to be more professional or prepare themselves to what they would experience if they were in a working environment. But again, if you're allowing them to tag, then you're kind of missing the ball on that.
Okay. When you dress up, and I was reading earlier on when I was doing a little bit of research, dress kind of gives you a different aura about yourself. When you dress up, you feel like you dressed up, you feel good, you look good about yourself. When you dress down, you sagging, let's say you have house clothes that you wear around the house, and just lounge clothes, and you're lounging in your lounge clothes. So dress actually goes along with how you feel and not your environment, but basically how you feel and self-esteem. So do you think the dress code help with students' self-esteem?
No.
No?
No. Because along with self-esteem goes with, or along with that goes with how well you do academically. And if the student is still not doing well academically, it doesn't matter how well they dress, they still probably will not have a good feeling about themselves and their self-worth because they're struggling in school.
But one of the arguments for the dress code is that it helps students do better academically.
Because they can focus on it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that that student who might have a learning disability or an unidentified learning disability is not going to still struggle. It's just the focus, they can eliminate the issue of distraction on people's dress. Now they've got to figure out, okay, now we're taking on all these other things, why else is it that the student is struggling in my class?
Okay, so the high self-esteem and the dress code, I won't say it's a byproduct of one another, it just kind of goes hand in hand, where the dress code can improve the self-esteem as far as the learning because it takes away the distraction of having the dress and the distraction of other students talking about your dress or whatever it may come. And that helps to improve self-esteem because now that distraction is out the way, you are learning.
Correct.
Okay. All right. One of the things I noted down here when I was coming up with it is that, okay, so the general feeling about dress code. What do we feel about them? Do we think they're appropriate? Do we not think they're appropriate? I have heard that football players have a dress code. That's for their safety. They have pads, they have all of the things that they need for their safety. Basketball players have dress codes. They used to have short shorts, now they have longer shorts. Think about this, basketball coaches have a dress code. They can't no longer go out in the field in their jeans and be the Mark Cuban. They actually have to dress up into a suit.
Like NBA.
In the NBA, absolutely. Have dress code. You boys, go ahead.
That's one time they have to get hurt. They have to play this game and they got to wear a suit.
Right. So the NBA players and basketball players, if they get hurt, they sideline, they have to put on a certain dress code. Yes, absolutely correct. Right. When you go to a formal event, believe it or not, that's a dress code. You don't go to a formal event with socks on and jeans and shirts. You'd be ostracized, absolutely. So it's an environmental type deal. When you go to a formal event, you feel formal because you dress formal, you're in a formal environment, you are been fed probably the same chicken you would have been fed if you was in a different location, but you are at a formal event. So why not have a dress code to raise the level up as far as the environment in schools and say, you are here to learn, dress as if you're here to learn, and going forward for that. So give me your thoughts on that as far as just a general dress code.
I think that's the general purpose, because especially by the time you get to high school, you're going to be going out in the work world soon, if you're not already working. And if you go get a job, whether it be at McDonald's, Best Buy, Chick-fil-A, even Old Navy or Bath and Body Works, there's some type of uniform dress that you have to have.
That is correct.
Even Target, red shirt, khaki pants. So I think the dress code, regardless if it's uniform or not, is trying to prepare students on following the rules for when you get into the working world. But students don't see it that way, and parents don't see it that way either.
Okay.
What do you think?
The dress code that you were speaking of, the NBA and different types of teams, I feel like it's just for identity. Some dress codes for identity.
Okay. So you're saying the NBA is saying, I don't want you to look bad on the court.
Right.
Because we are the NBA.
Right.
So you have to abide by our rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the football teams and athletes, most of them have uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just for identity purposes. So you can identify one from the other.
Absolutely. Now I understand what you're saying. Exactly. And so the player's uniform is definitely for identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just had a bunch of people in black around the field, you wouldn't know who to throw the ball to, who to root for, and things of that nature. That is absolutely correct. For identity. So in those cases, identity is important. But in school, identity is not important.
At one time, it was important because only the private sector the parochial schools were uniform, and now it's the public schools. Can you tell what child goes to what school are uniform? Because most of them were dark bottoms, white tops, a khaki, and navy blue. So you really can't identify a child by a uniform.
You can identify what school they go to.
Right.
Whereas before you could identify and say, oh, this is the Earthland Academy
Right.
student, or this student goes to Holiday or St. Mark's.
Right.
Yeah. No, there's not. Well, the difference is they don't have class. They have solid.
True.
Mm-hmm. And that's true. And what was mentioned in the article that I gave you, public schools, it said originally only the private institutions were the ones that required uniforms and had a dress code, but the public institution didn't. And that's absolutely correct. I'm glad you brought that up.
That also included shoes. So for a public school child, they don't have a certain shoe they have to wear, do they?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Except our daughter has to wear tennis shoes because she goes to school. She goes to PE majority of the week, and they would prefer that they wear tennis shoes to school because they don't want the gym floor messed up. So it's either I let her wear a different pair of shoes and she changed out of her shoes to go to PE, or just wear the tennis shoes to school to save on her having to switch shoes to go to PE. But other than that, there is no dress code, and that is not even really written in the dress code. That's just a preference that the school has expressed to parents.
So in your opinion, David, should schools have a mandatory dress code?
Certain cases, maybe.
Okay.
I think a lot of people inform a certain type of clothes when they go to the
Right. Call it dressing out. Well, I'm not really sure if that's enforceable or not, because I think I've seen some of the kids actually go to school in their gym clothes. I guess if they have it early in the day, they can, I guess, wear them. But I'm not really sure about that.
Well, no, because shorts, the students now wear the more athletic shorts to school. Umbro is one of the brands. Instead of wearing maybe your shorts that you would go buy from Old Navy that you could wear to school. So they're wearing some everything in school. So that's a whole other dress code issue because there's no uniformity, and then that goes back to identity because that could be an athlete, and that might be what the athlete wanted to wear to school that day.
Right.
So it kind of identifies them as an athlete, maybe if they're athletic. But then, you're kind of not saying that you can only wear jeans and only certain type of shorts to school.
So what is your opinion, Janika, on the mandatory dress code? Think they should have this school?
I think yes, they should have them. I think there should be more enforcement of what's in the dress code.
More enforcement. All right.